Hey, what's going on, DBI? Riz here, and this is going to be another roleplay review. This time we're going to be covering two logs, wrapped up in one because they're so short and closely related to one another. So the first one is going to be Lakeside Tranquility, and this is a solo done by Styx. And the next one is going to be the Old Blood versus New Blood with Styx and Zofu. And we're going to start with Lakeside Tranquility because I think in video form, this is the first review I get to do for Styx. I think, officially. Maybe? No, I did the Koshoro one, but still, for Styx alone, this is it. And I'd just like to first say, Kurogane, if I did not say so already, welcome back, good sir. It's good to see you. And for those of you that don't know, Kurogane is a former roleplay admin, is a longtime player, and as they kind of allude in this log, old blood, as said by Zofu. And it's just good to see old players come back. But in this log, their character Styx is at one of the lakes in Nova's sanctuary, kind of still lamenting about their past life. And they're really just kind of taking it in, kind of trying to understand where they fit. And they are still kind of brooding. There's no other way to put it around. Say it. There's no other way of putting it. There's no getting around it. They had been following Genesis. This is after they meet up with Koshoro. Genesis, Koshoro, and Styx have been talking, and they were doing the flying kick tornado Tatsumaki Senpyukaku training and blew up my damn lake. So this log takes after that, and Styx went and found another lake and didn't blow it up, so thank you. And they're just kind of talking, but what they are really doing is trying to find their place in this new time. Styx is like the reincarnation of I want to say Elflane. I think that's who this character is, the daughter or Namekian egg of, and they are not Elflane, but they are her in a sense, and they're just trying to remember what they were and where they are in this new era, in this new timeline. Not timeline, but in this new time. And really, that's just what this is. This is just Styx reflecting on it. And I have to say that even in the first log with Koshoro, I was kind of done with the brooding. Just going to be right up front with it. I feel like Styx has spent so much time in this mindset that the character isn't really developing. I thought maybe at the end of this we would find something, because they almost get there. Like, they're basically just saying, what's the point? Like, we all die. And there is a part of it that's very true. That, everything must come to an end, and in their previous life, they died. That was it. They had their conclusion to their story, and maybe they died with regrets, and they died not fulfilling, what was inside their heart at the moment, and they were like, there's so much left to do, and it didn't matter. Nothing that I did mattered. Maybe what they're really looking for is immortality. Who knows? But we're just getting this reflection about a time, about an age that has come and gone past. And I just really feel like Styx is spending a little too much time in that era. Now, I know Kurogane is probably just still writing and trying to figure out where this character is, but this nihilistic approach is just, it's engaging on an interpersonal level. I'm sure as the person who is writing this, It's like, man, I'm really digging deep. I'm really getting there. But the theme of the character is just the it's like, I just want to go up and give them a hug and be like, cheer up, emo kid. Like put a little sticker on their shirt, wipe off all the black makeup and lipstick, and like, yes, I like Welcome to the Black Parade as much as anybody, but pop music is still out there. There's still other things that we can do other than sit in our room and listen to Linkin Park. So I kind of feel like that's where we were maybe kind of going, especially when we get this yellow text down here, where they're saying like it's wrong to force being a hero on people, and I thought maybe, okay, this other influence in their mind, this other memory was going to be something that was going to push them beyond where they were, but it really just it like almost reinforces their feelings, or maybe like Styx, like they just like, you were wrong, and it doesn't matter, nothing matters, if you love something, it doesn't matter. everything is moving, there's nothing, the ball can be rolling but eventually it's going to stop, and it's like, ay. And I really feel like Genesis in their pairings was trying to do the same. And I know that in a more recent log that Saru had covered, that Thousand's kind of doing the same. And I think by where we're at in the present timeline for Styx, like they kind of are trying to get out of it. But yeah, Lakeside Tranquility, I mean, it was a good read. It just didn't do anything for me other than, like, okay, yeah, Styx is still depressed and they still have a nihilistic view on everything, and maybe we're going to be pulling ourselves out of that. But at the end of this log, I didn't feel that, right? And I'm not trying to say like this wasn't a good log. It was a good log. It's just I don't feel like the plot went anywhere. I don't feel like we got past what we were dealing with in this log, and it was just Styx just still kind of brooding, but introducing maybe a new mindset in the form of this yellow text. Change, it's easy. If you want to change, all you have to do is get the ball rolling. And I was like, good. It's not another player telling Styx like, hey, you've got to fix this yourself. It's sort of their psyche telling them, or a memory that they are unlocking of somebody, telling them like, hey, like if you want to change and fight against the universe, like you've got to do it. And you can't just sit back and say like, it's the universe, nothing I can do about it. So that is really, I mean, this is a super short log, so there was not a lot for me to say, but there was more for me to say verbally than to write it out. That's why I left this note for myself to give it a reply. And then we're going to talk about the next log, which is the Old Blood versus New Blood. And this is Styx versus Zofu. And this log, it's still in the sanctuary. Zofu had been kind of summoned by Novaleska, and after they had their little heart-to-heart, well, then Zofu kind of went out. It was just kind of, trapezing about, seeing what was going on in the sanctuary, and he makes it very apparent that he does not want to be here. He thinks the sanctuary is quite the annoyance, probably because it reminds him so much of his father's temples and his training grounds, where there's just these martial artists busting their knuckles to prove themselves. But then he kind of gets scent of Styx, who is, in my head, like this old versus new kind of takes place immediately after Lakeside Tranquility, where Styx was just kind of like, yeah, maybe the change comes within me, and just kind of, roaming about in the forest, and Zofu senses that, hey, there's old blood. And what Zofu really does here Actually, I'm going to say what Ike really does here, because it's not something that Zofu is doing. It's something that the writer Eichenbahn is doing, is hyping up Styx to a great extent. Even the mention of like, they're old blood, right? Like giving them a great distinction of, in almost in like demonic culture, it's like the older, more ancient you are, the more respected you are. Kind of telling us that in demon culture, they really respect the elders because demons don't last long, and if you get to be thousands of years old, then you are ancient, you are powerful, you are to be respected. And yeah, I mean, the other thing that I'm going to have a little side note, I did love the talk shit get hit hoodie. I thought that was pretty cute. But yeah, Zofu is kind of like just roaming, find Styx, and is really almost kind of like, in a certain way, like bowing. I won't say bowing down, because he still has his like arrogant prince of or lord of Blackley era about him, and he does really go out of his way to be like, hey, like, you are something, you are special. And it's almost like Ike was trying to tell Kurogane, like, hey, like, your character shouldn't be as broken as you're kind of playing it up to be. So, if you want some help getting there, this is it. This is what I offer for you. And they have this kind of like, I'm Styx, I'm Zofu. She kind of mocks his title of Lord. And then we get right back to, titles are overrated. I had one at one time and I lost it. Nothing ever changes. So, whatever, your lordship. And kind of just is like, again, back in this nihilistic, like, nothing ever matters, and why are we doing all this, and you can call yourself the king of the world, and eventually nothing's going to matter because death claims us all. Like, I'm kind of reading into that a little bit, but that's kind of like the air that we get out of Styx again. And rather than kind of play into this pity, it's a pity party. That's what it is. It's like, rather than play into this pity party, Zofu is like, okay, yeah, let's throw hands. Let's throw hands, and that'll make you feel better. And as much as Zofu doesn't want to admit that he is like the rest of his family, he is. He is that fighter. He is that warrior. He is a Kumasharu. And he's like, the best way to solve any issue is to hit it really, really, really hard. And throughout the fight, he does do a good job, again, of just playing up Styx. He says like I respect what you are. I respect what you were. And if you are what I believe you are the dragoness, and I am very honored to meet you. It's great to meet you. I will spar with you. I will trade blows with you. And Styx like doesn't even, like, they just throw themselves off of a cliff. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'm done. I think I even like stopped reading at that point and was like, okay, I'm halfway through reading this log, and I'm just over the brooding. and I'm not saying it again. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like we've been reading this, and there's been no progression in it, to the point where somebody is actively trying to engage with Styx, and anything other than like, I'm going to say something and then you're going to tell me that it's pointless. And then they like literally threw themselves off of a cliff, and kind of really didn't make, it wasn't like they jumped off and it was this very acrobatic, like they were swinging, like they just fall to the effing ground. And in my head canon, just kind of thunked on the ground and then got up and then like kept walking. And like, we're even getting like that she's in rags and she hasn't she's basically naked at the end of the spar, and I'm just like, all right, man, like, oh, okay, we get it that you aren't feeling well, like, but now we're doing Dragon Ball stuff. Now we are fighting. Like, if there's anything that would like get someone's blood going, it is a fight. Let's go. And I really felt like Zofu was kind of pulling teeth to kind of get this fight going. He was even like, I'll be the instigator. I'm just gonna make a spear and throw it at you. And eventually we do get into the fight, and the fight's all right. I will say about the combat that happened, I'm very glad that Zofu is doing away with the illusion technique. I'm very glad. It was very overpowered, and it even here he just does it. There was kind of like no charge up, no build up to it. He just was like, all right, yeah, I need to put you in illusion, and just does it. And then I kind of like that Styx didn't play into like, oh, I'm fearful, I'm terrified, I'm everything that the skill is kind of describing that it should be. I like that they stayed in their own, and they kind of centered themselves, and I'm just, again, I'm glad that it's gone, or if it's going to come back retooled, I'm more than willing to sit down and figure this out. But as it stood in this log, yeah, I'm glad that we don't see that. And again, the fight is all right. Like Zofu is really trying to get Styx to demon it up a little bit, and she's kind of there, but just doesn't really give him much in return. I mean, she throws this like sap flame fireball, and it hits him, and he kind of is like, ah ha ha, like, you thought that fire was going to hurt me. Which I thought was kind of funny. And he's like, but I am burning though. like I do need to. Okay, all right, we're good. But ha ha. So that did kind of make me chuckle a little bit. But then it ends in a very weird way. It ends in a way that I think Styx was trying to heal Zofu. Because the way that Elflane worked was that they kind of fed off of emotions, and they fed off of life force and life energy of others. And it seems like Styx was trying to do the opposite, where they're like, hey, I'm going to take my own life essence and heal you. And if I am not mistaken, sorry, I'm kind of going through this. Yeah, they spent about 40 RP energy and 20 RP health on it. And I don't understand why at the end Zofu just said like it kind of worked, but it didn't. I don't get that. I mean, I understand that there is a power difference between them, but it wasn't like she was trying to physically attack him. She was trying to heal his wounds in any way possible, and it's like he just didn't phase him at all. And that was just a very weird end to the log. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know why that was the direction that we went. Maybe there's something that I might have missed, but it was like Zofu was just like, yeah, she tried it, and I felt it trickle. That was about it. And yeah, so I mean, that was the fight. They have their spar in the woods, and next thing you know, Styx is waking up saying like, I'm still alive. Universal's a fickle bitch. And she didn't know why she was alive. Just, it's almost like she didn't care, which it's like, come on, Styx, come on. So that was the old blood versus new. They just kind of meet up. They did share a drink. Zofu did have this really funny moment where he kind of like magics up some alcohol, and they shared a drink. So that was cute. But I also want to talk about Zofu in particular in this log, since I have your attention, and it's been 20 minutes. In the most recent log that Zofu has done, the Scrying Eye, I mentioned in the review that there are two versions of Zofu that we see on page. There is powerful Lord of Blacklay, very, very confident, very knowing of himself and his ability and his possibilities, and almost like this unbeatable, indomitable force. And that's what we see when Zofu roleplays with other characters, all except for a couple. And then we have Broken Zofu. And by Broken Zofu, I mean Punished Zofu, where you actually get to see, how actually damaged that he is, and how injured that he is, and how, he almost is played up as like how weak he is. And I understand why. Like it's all about the glamour. It's like what I said when I was role playing with him with Nova, is that she recognizes that everything about Zofu is a lie in front of other people. Like he will project confidence. He will project that he is commanding and in control, but she kind of sees that like when it's just him, he's not. And maybe that might be like me being a little too meta. Maybe she doesn't see it as much, but she definitely doesn't trust it, right? And this is a moment where we see, like Mr. Badass Zofu. Mr. I'm trying to be a badass. That's what it is. Zofu is trying to be a badass. And then it's like almost the complete opposite when he's actually in Blacklay Castle. So that's just all I wanted to mention. There's just two forms of this demon, and we often see two different sides of him. So overall, this has been a good log. I know it seems like I bitched about Styx a lot. I don't mean to, but having read through now 3 of these logs, preparations, Lakeside, Tranquility, old versus new, I'm just waiting for something to happen with the character, and I hope that Kurogane can figure it out. And if you need help, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Let's go forward. I think that's what I would like to see for Styx. Go forward, right? Like, so what, you were who you were in the past. I want to see the character go forward and move forward, especially since we have so many new characters that to roleplay with and to build with and to tell stories with. It kind of feels like Styx is kind of, I said this before, Styx is role playing next to people rather than with them, because they're always thinking about the old age, which, I had a character in the old age, and, I'm trying to bring him back, but not bring back what was lost, but something new, a new twist on them. So anyway, guys, it's been a long time, so thank you for your time. My name is Riz, and I will see you all next time.